You ready?
There is a connection between the paranormal, UFOs, and the myths of ancient history. The clues are scattered across the landscape from a forbidden past, maybe even in your own backyard. There is a connection between the true nature of our reality, consciousness, and the unexplained. I'm Carl the Crusher. Let's explore the unknown.
It's like an ammo box. He's like taking off from the earth. Pay attention to this symbol here. It almost looks like a tunnel going down into a chamber. Are they drawing about like Stranger Things? Is this like our reality in the upside down? Because we always see these portal symbols in different places, and sometimes there's even animals or people falling out, like they're falling out of the sky. In the middle there's my hand with my glove on. So this is where all the entity figures are on the wall, but where the energetic lines go and connect is now glowing kind of oddly. So there's that weird like diamond pattern there, you can see it in the rock right there, and there's these hot spots, and then as I come down right in the middle, here's a hot spot, and I notice that it's all a different color. Chris Bartel, when he worked at Skinwalker Ranch for over 6 years, he said that he spent a lot of time hiking around on the mesa and the property with the dogs, and he picked up his camera, started doing photography, and what he naturally, intuitively started doing, he said that Skinwalker Ranch and the spirit of the ranch taught him how to take his photographs and flip them almost like you're putting them in a kaleidoscope. So you take the image and then you look at it in a mirror perspective, like you flip it halfway horizontally or vertically, and sometimes right in the center. And what it does is it takes a two-dimensional image, or even a scene like a form of geology, and it reveals things that normally you wouldn't see. And I'm actually having this stuff confirmed to me that in ancient indigenous shamanic methods, that they would actually use crystals and crystal balls and prisms in the similar way, like they would hold them up to their eyes or even up to the petroglyphs, and it would reveal more of a holographic, three-dimensional representation of what all of this is supposed to mean. And so instead of looking at it just like primitive graffiti where people were hanging out tagging their gang signs on the wall, you have to realize that it's part of an elaborate shamanic system that's meant to be looked at three-dimensionally, or almost fourth or fifth dimensionally, at a higher dimensional mindset of consciousness, where you're looking at these like they're three-dimensionally, holographically projected off of the wall, and sometimes even in motion to reveal a story. Not only that, these places also represented consciousness and spiritual doorways that you would use in meditation or ceremonies in order to travel through one doorway and come out another. I'm not talking about physically traveling through the doorways. I'm talking about doing a meditation, going out of body, almost like an astral projection, and then focusing on the glyphs and symbols and the holographic images written upon these stone walls, and traversing through them into other places on the planet using the electromagnetic field of the earth, almost like a subway system for your soul. I'm always so fascinated by the little details of the petrified wood and other things that you see in the rock. Now, we're not going to spend like a ton of time here today. I just want to point out that detail that we're supposed to see this almost like it's a cross section, a flat representation of something that's supposed to be dynamically seen three-dimensionally or through other dimensions as well. My shadow is really bad here, but this is that strange box that we keep seeing here, where we also see other people that look like they're coming out of it or standing next to it or carrying it. And we have this line tunnel coming out, and I've also been told that this could represent the origins of the great serpent coming out of the earth as part of the creation story, and how it also represents tunnels and access ways through the earth to other places. I'm not even going to go up by those petroglyphs. I'm going to keep moving. It's like I keep getting pressure waves too. My right ear goes, my right ear starts whistling. It's like tinnitus. I get this ringing like a dog whistle in my head. And then it's like I get dizzy. Wow. I'm right up by the base of this cliff. Petroglyphs here, petroglyphs there. It is weird. It's like energy going through up the back of my head into the, like my cerebellum or something. I don't know, I'm gonna sit here and just rest for a minute and let my, it could be some blood pressure thing. I don't know. Leave a offering of cornmeal and tobacco and move on. That's what I know to do. And already feeling better. We made it. All the way up this valley where we see remnants and weird formations of stone curving all the way up the cliffside. We arrive here where we ended last video, at the base of this amazing panel of petroglyphs. You've got this figure here with the man on his shoulders, this entire wall and scene that almost looked like on the thermal camera it was revealing a door, and you can see the way the runoff of the rain comes down, how it does affect and change those rectangular square patterns in the way that the heat captures the rock. Now, I have been taught a few things about this place since we were here last, especially all of the connections with the Great Serpent and the emergence story of it supposedly coming out in this valley as part of the creation, and that this rock represented part of the tail of that serpent, and that they carved around that the pattern just like serpent skin, or to represent that coming out with the glyph. So you have it wrapping all the way around, plus this wavy line and this entire depiction of people standing here almost at the edge of the valley with the water going through it. But we have this entire scene that supposedly has a lot to do with this story of creation. Here's this guy with the what looks like the box. Again, here is almost like this box with the line going up. This amazing panel. Here's what we were talking about. This could be like moccasins. And then we have these figures that we connected all the way across to Nevada and up to places near Skinwalker Ranch. We spent a significant amount of time here in the last video. We just wanted to stop in and take it all in with a fresh eye and kind of thinking through some of the stories and things that we've learned since the last time that we were here. And from this panel of petroglyphs, if we continue and go up this canyon, here we have this X marks the spot. I was also taught that in a lot of these places where you have this petrified wood coming out of the sandstone were places where they actually would put beams of wood into the rock and create platforms or almost steps coming out so that they could traverse and climb up, and then they could pull the boards out like staircases that were removable, and some of them I guess were left in, and we can still find them today. Almost like they would take trees or poles of wood, put them in the slats of the sandstone, wedge them in there, and make like a temporary staircase out of poles that they could just run up to climb up the cliff faces and back down and remove them. It's pretty genius to stay safe. I've also been taught that some of the stone markers here indicate old mounds, pyramids, buried things in the distance that nobody really knows about, that are part of an ancient map system that has been lost today. So we are back now at X marks the spot, and I noticed something totally new. Look, there's an arrow very faint right here, like this. Here's one right here. It almost looks like there's a little square or something below it, and then here's the X. Some people say this looks like Spanish, or it could be Masonic or something like that, but I don't know. It could be old. It is pegged. It doesn't Doesn't look as old as the petroglyphs though. It might be. Right there. See, there's a whole other arrow. One there and one there. And then you tell me, does it look like there's indication of something underneath? Almost like a box or a circle? Something. They tried a little bit harder to make a symbol, and then the line goes up like an arrow, and then here you've got the X. And we're talking about the edge of this canyon here. Here, we'll go underneath the X and come up this way so that you can see. This could be pointing anywhere. Is it pointing to something in the distance off there, over there? Do I have to go up and look on top? You tell me, which way would you go? That's the question. So do I scramble back down below in the valley and continue to go that way? Or do I stay up high and try to go up and see if there's anything on top? I mean, I've gone under and up this way, and it does just drop up on top of the mesa. And so I'm not sure, but here we are at the X. It says to either go up, which I can't go up, right? Unless I go way back. Look at that, it's like a 50-foot cliff over my head. Or I keep going this way, right? So I'm gonna go underneath and keep going this way and see if there's another way up and keep going down the canyon. I was just getting ready to talk about how I encountered what might have been like a bobcat or something in a cave up here. And then I looked down and look at that. This is like it's either been worn out from water dripping off of the cliff above, but this looks like it's hand worked. Look at this. Right on the edge of this cliff. X marks the spot is right on the other side of the face there. This has been ground. Look at that. This is like, this has been hand worked with tools. This almost looks like concrete. Could be water dripping off the edge causing all of this, but that it looks like tooling. Fascinating. I'm starting to learn to look inside those little pockets. See, there's more slabs of this interesting petrified biological material in the sandstone and iron deposits and things. Yeah, up here, there's like a crack underneath the rocks, and I had some big cat kind of growl at me, so I'm a little nervous. I've only ever been up this way one other time. I'm looking for any kind of signs. Right? There's these little pocket caves and stuff. I can't remember which one it was. I think it's further up. Hey, kitty, kitty, kitty. I hope it's a bobcat, not something bigger. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Hello? I don't think I'm gonna go in there and attempt it. I did it. I found a way all the way up here. That's crazy. So if the X points up, you have to go on top of the cliff. I found a way up, so here we go. I'm actually on top of it right now. Whoa, big drop all the way off of there. We're gonna watch our step. Standing directly on top of the edge of the cliff right now. So I would say straight under my feet, right over the edge here, is where X marks the spot and points up. So if I was to walk over here, stay away from the loose edge, and these sinkholes that you could fall down in. And yeah, so right down there off of this ledge is the X marks the spot right down there. You might not be able to see it from this angle, but it is there. So if we followed the line up, it still points the way that the edge of the canyon goes. So if we come back here, standing right on top of the X now, oh, look at this. There's like a pipe drilled into the rock right here. And so the X marks the spot there. And if we follow it, it actually doesn't go up and over the top of the mesa. It continues along the edge. So we're going to continue to follow it this way. So I do have an idea. If we're following the arrow, X marks the spot. This way, I have no idea where it leads to if I go up that ravine and over here where it seems to be pointing. If I go a little variation this way, it just continues along the edge of the canyon, and there is some really weird stuff right over here. Staying up high is something up here that I've not really done before. I'm usually down there hiking along the bottom of the canyon looking up. So the fact that there's an X with an arrow pointing up this way, it's a little bit interesting to stay up high. Look at where this water runs down into the canyon below. Just cuts through the rocks right here. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's keep looking, see if we can find anything. It's important when you do this kind of stuff and get into it that you learn some of the old methods, like to stop when you find a marker, to go on like where you think it's pointing, and then stop when you get to a lookout point, turn around and see if you see any lines of sight. Like I already noticed up on the ridge, it looks like there's some stacked rocks up on the ridge up here behind me that the arrow could be pointing to, and a couple of other things. So kind of get up to like a little bit of a high point and look and see if you can see stacked rocks, cairns, markers, any other carvings. Sometimes even on the surface right under your feet, you can find something that is like the next step of the clue as to where to go. And then always listen to your intuition. Stay curious. You never know what you're going to find. Or where it's going to take you. My intuition is kind of screaming at me to drop down and make my way down there. I have no idea what this X is actually pointing at, where it could lead to. But look, when I drop down here on this ridge line, it's just like a whole bunch of little pockets and caves where that cat or bobcat or whatever could be, or that there could be something tucked away, some kind of a cache or a little site. I have no idea what could be up here, but it's interesting when you find all these markers and clues and arrows pointing around. But I think I am walking myself up on the edge of a cliff. Yeah. I don't think I can get down this way, guys. I'm gonna have to backtrack, make my way down, and we're gonna keep going. Now here is this field of black basalt, this shiny lava rock. See how it almost glistens like it's been painted with a lacquer? See how shiny that is? And there's these dark rocks everywhere. I wonder if I could find, yeah, look at this one. This one's really glistening right here. You can see it almost has this black mirror finish off of it. Now, my colleague James Keenan and I have been discovering that from everywhere from Skinwalker Ranch to Mount Wilson Ranch to these locations where indigenous people seem to consider sacred or where there's interesting energy, these kinds of shiny black volcanic basalt rocks seem to be an indication that something else is going on or happened in the past. And not only that, a lot of times they actually give off magnetic readings like a hot rock, like it thinks that they're magnetic like a meteorite, even though they're really not. There's actually huge slabs of this kind of stone all over the hillside at the Magic Mesa, where we get those strange paranormal geometric lights that appear almost like a holographic projection that reflects off of the hillside and creates strange geometric shapes and stuff. But I mean, the whole hillside here is littered with these rocks. When the sun's out, they are almost reflective, like you can see them glowing almost purple, green, yellow. They give off these strange shimmers and like almost a glowing effect that is really strange, that almost gives off an ultraviolet aura or like a vapor look coming off of the rock when you look at it. So it's interesting. Maybe something to do with the geology is creating an interesting effect on human consciousness, or maybe even reality itself. Even just walking through here, just like last episode, it's like I get this weird equilibrium, kind of a dizzy sensation. Like it's like my eyes don't want to focus. I'm looking at the ground, I'm trying to see, like I want my eyes to focus on a particular spot, and it's like, it's funny. I don't know. You just gotta come to these spots and experience it to know what I'm talking about. But maybe there is something to do with the crystal geology, something to do with the rock formation, something that happened in the past that created distortions in the electromagnetic field of the earth that actually affects people or opens up doorways or possibilities to supernatural things occurring. Now we're starting to get into segments of this canyon where I am unfamiliar. So I know where coming up here is one amazing pictograph. Instead of a petroglyph where it's actually carved, it's a pictograph where it this looks like another giant fossilized serpent skull I've never noticed over here. Let's go and take a look. But a pictograph is actually painted on with pigment, and there's a amazing one, an astonishing one further up here on the cliff face. And I keep stopping and trying to look up to see if I can see where it's at, and I'm like, where is he? I can't remember where it's at. But this kind of looks like another big skull. This whole valley has interesting features like this. These big sandstone things that almost look like they're made of something biological. Here's one of these, look at that. See how shiny that is? We get interesting magnetic readings off of some of this kind of interesting geology, but I'm also noticing something crazy right here. I've been looking around for that pictograph up on the cliffside, but even all over on the ground here, that is flaking. So they were making stone tools right here, and there's pieces. Oh yeah, look, more right here flaking. See that? This one right here, tool making. More right here. So those are like shards of stone. There's another chunk right there. Let's see if there's any more. Wow, there's a big one. Look at this one. This is almost like a part of a tool left behind. See that? Hold very still. So this is all in this almost like a flake zone. Wow, listen to the echo. Yo! Hey! Wow. Yo! That is such a crazy resonance. Found him. Okay. I always have a hard time finding this one. Way up there, I don't even know if you can see it from here. Up underneath the ledge is the Red Man pictograph. And we're gonna go up there and see him up close and personal in just a second. But never before, when I have come up here, have I noticed how much flaking and artifacts is just littered everywhere on the ground. I'm standing right here. There's these huge boulders. I mean, some of these are like the size of a house almost. And all around on the ground is just tons of tool making and flaking evidence. I'll try and get you down really close to the ground, like you're crawling around and you're looking at it up close. See all the little white flakes? Here's another one. Right there. All the way up. I gotta watch where I step. See, I'm missing some on the camera even. There's so much on the ground. All the tool making flakes. I'm being very careful where I put my feet so I don't step right on any of it. See all that? All the way up this entire hillside. Down in the cracks there. Just littering the ground. To watch really careful where I walk through areas like this. You can tell this whole spot was perfect. It's like an outcropping raised up higher on the hills. And then look, you've even got, wow, there's flaking all over. Okay, I'm gonna flip my camera around and there's a pocket cave right here, even with stacked stones in front of it, like a shelter. This could even be one of the stones that they flaked off of in order to make all of these remnants of the tools. I mean, it's everywhere. There's so much of it. It's laying all over the ground. There's so much tool making, flaking. Oh look, other people who have been up here have even gathered it and stacked some of it on the rock here. And then as I come up closer, look. No wonder people were living here. There's not only flaking all over the ground here from tool making, but there's remnants of the rocks and stones that they even used to make the tools. They obviously crawled back in and through there for shelter. Stones and rocks have been stacked up here. And if you're wondering if modern people have done that or not, all you got to do is turn around and look on the ground down at your feet. And there's all the arrowhead flakes and spearhead flakes. Primitive tool making littering all over the ground. This whole hillside, all around these giant boulders and pocket caves, is just littered with flaking and different artifacts and stuff like that all over the ground. And I can't say that I blame them. It's perfect. It just looks like a boulder sitting there, but underneath it is a huge opening, like a pocket, a place to get in out of the weather. And then, so you guys look out on the valley. I'm going to pan around here. Does it look like there's any pyramids, mound building structures, or anything like that in the distance that is off further in the valley? We're going to get up higher and take a closer look. Here, I'll turn the camera around so you can look. This is another big boulder with a cave underneath it where obviously people were dwelling, and there's flaking everywhere. Now I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, pan across here. Now I've been told that there are buried mounds and pyramids and things that are covered over in mud out in this valley. It looks almost like there could be stuff right down there, right? That would be very interesting to go over there. Those are actually a lot bigger than they look on camera. There's a whole boulder field, and I know, so I'm going to zoom in, I already know there's petroglyphs on this panel right there, way in the distance. But what could be hidden? I've hiked all the way up there and all the way back. Is there anything out there? I'm starting to get very tired. My legs are exhausted. Wow, this is a big pocket. Watch where I put my feet. Flaking. 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 Let's go up and get a closer look at the Red Man pictograph. It's a beautiful view, but it's a hell of a hike. Oh my gosh. Even just scrambling up all these rocks and boulders is quite a task at the end of the day. Here at the end of the canyon, there's got to be more petroglyphs and pictographs. Can you see them? Can you see them right up there? Let's go see if we can get up close. There's a white truck that just parked. See if I can see them. See them walking down here. You're saying this is the crackings in though? From here. I can't tell if these guys are looking for me or what.